Hello class, Mr. Graziano again. I'm going to explain what our next assignment is. It's going to play off what our previous assignment is. First of all, I want to say nice job. Most of you had a lot of really cool, a good range of ideas. And because you had such a big range of ideas, you were able to come up with 5 pretty good ideas on your own. So nice job with that. Now, hopefully you had fun. My job here is to get you guys to be more creative, and I want you to understand being more creative is playing with ideas. It's having fun, writing and drawing and scribbling and sketching ideas out, and then refining those ideas. So we're gonna do the same thing, only now this task is gonna get a little tougher because we're gonna concentrate on combining a logo, on combining 2 letters in a logo, which is a little more difficult, okay? So in this case, there's 4 on this page that do that. So we got Under Armour right here, Fleet Farm, okay, right here, Notre Dame, and down here is the New York Giants. So this combining 2 letters in a logo. And this is nothing new. Combining 2 letters, here's a logo that was designed by an artist named Albrecht Durr. So Albrecht and the D inside the A. Albrecht Durr was an artist back in the 1500s. So that logo was done, this particular drawing says 1515. I mean, 500 years ago. So it's nothing new. So what you're going to be doing now is this. You're going to be just like before. By Wednesday, I want you to come up with 50 ideas. But they should be easier because you're going to be able to reuse these ideas you already have in different ways, okay? So what you need to do, though, the problem with using 2 letters is it gets a little difficult sometimes because some letters are very different from each other. Now, in my case, I'm just my name is Chris Graziano, so in a C and a G, the 2 letters are very, very similar, okay? But you might have letters that are very different. Like, for example, if my initials were P and W, okay, a P is very rounded and a W is very diagonal. You know, it's kind of hard to do something with a P and a W because they're so different. So what's my task? My task is somehow make those 2 letters fit together. So I look at this. I have a P is rounded, so maybe my W becomes very rounded, okay? Or maybe I do this. Maybe I make my P very triangular to fit with my triangular W. Or maybe I do this. Maybe I make them both different. Maybe I make a very square-looking P and a very square-looking W, okay? So I end up with different ways that make the 2 letters fit. Or I use a font that incorporates the letters in a way that's very similar. So for example, here's a school not too far from here. It's called Wisconsin Lutheran College. And what they've done is they've taken a font that has a similar look to it. Notice all these letters have a diagonal lean to them. They're all very square and they have very wide areas and also thin areas. So they've taken these letters, which W very angular, L very square, and C very round, and made them look all similar, okay? So what you're going to have here is you're going to have some letters, for example, E, F, H, I, L, very squared. They fit nicely into boxes, very squared. Then you've got, I call our diagonal letters, A, V, M, W, N, Z, X, Y, K, okay? Then you have our rounded letters like B, C, D, G, O, P, R, S, U, J, Q, okay? So you might have 2 initials that one's rounded, one's diagonal, and you're gonna have to figure out a way to make those similar so they fit together. Now, what I have here is I've got 8 categories of prompts to come up with ideas. So what you should probably do at this point is I want you to pause this video and I want you to write these 8 down on a piece of paper, okay? And these are gonna be your prompts to help you come up with ideas. So the first and I'll explain these. First category is stacked, overlapped, side by side, interlocked, back to back, logo within a border, 3D or 3-dimensional, and includes a representational symbol, okay? Write those 8 categories down, and let me show you examples in those categories. So for example, here is stacked. Now stacked is when you have letters that are stacked on top of each other. So for example, the Under Armour logo, you've got an A on top of, or U on top of the A. And Volkswagen, the V on top of the W. So stacked, you're stacking them on top. Okay. Second category, overlapped. Overlap is when you're laying two over the top of each other. Notice Under Armour's in the same category because it kind of fits. This is stacked, but it's also sort of overlapped. So you have some categories that sort of, are very similar. So anyhow, stacked, you got two letters laying over the top, Notre Dame, Under Armour, and here's V8. Okay. Next, we've got side by side. So here's a cursive G and a cursive E. That's General Electric, which is similar to the inside, the little filament, the little wire that's inside a light bulb. The C and the F, you can see obviously the C is rounded, and they rounded the F and fit it into this frame. And then New York Giants, they took a lowercase letters, and they choose a very square serif, okay, and a very square sort of boxy looking letter. And notice this little Y, the way that curves over, like the leg of the N curves in the same way. So really cool logo, very identifiable, not super complicated, but I'm sure it took some creative thought and process, okay? Next is interlocked. Interlocked is when you have letters that look sort of like these, like a chain link, like they're locking around each other. So here you've got the T woven into this. I think it's an H, maybe it's an A, I'm not sure. And this one's called mirror. This is an M and an E. I don't know if you call this interlock, but basically I like this logo. It's pretty clever. This is a company called Miracle Ear. They make hearing aids. And so we have got an M and an E, and it's also sort of a sound wave. Very clever way to make a logo, okay? Our next category is called back to back. And you can see Fleet Farm uses that. So they have an F, regular F, and they flip the F around so it's facing the other way. Same thing with this R. So back to back, another category, pretty simple, okay? Next, logo within a border. Now, two of these are single letters. You're not going to do a single letter. You have to do a double letter within a border. But I'm showing you the possibility of borders. Here's a shield shape. Here's a rectangular with a rounded top and bottom, a circle, and oval. Now, this one, obviously, Volkswagen, a V and a W. Toyota is pretty clever. I've heard this explained that this is the T, these two ovals. Then I've heard this is an O, and this is an A, and this is a Y. So it's really kind of incorporating many letters into using these ovals as loops. And this has become a pretty recognizable symbol if you like cars, okay? Next, three-dimensional. That's making your logo with two letters in some way a three-dimensional form. You've recognized Nintendo, okay? This is called Sibmar, but isn't that clever the way they've made the S and the M into looks like a box, okay? Indian Pacific, I love this logo. I'm not even knowing what Indian Pacific is, but I think this is an awesome looking logo. And look at this one, Mavis. It's an M, but it's M made of like curved folded paper. Very, very, very clever, okay? Next is includes a representational symbol. That means you've got your two letters, but there's a third element included that has a representational thing. This is one of my favorites. This one is called the Hartford Whalers, and it's a hockey team in Hartford, Massachusetts. But basically, look at this, a W. Inside the W is an H, and then we've got the whale tail. So it's really it's a simple logo, two letters, and incorporates another symbol. I remember from Wisconsin Lutheran College, they're the Knights, so they've included a sword with theirs. Now, this is a whole word, but I mean, recognize this. Federal Express, this is their logo, but inside the logo right here is an arrow because they deliver things in a direction, okay? Amazon, I don't know if you're aware of this, but Amazon, this little thing, people said, what's an arrow or a smile? What it stands for is they have everything from A to Z. Amazon, huge company. So having that arrow is including a representational symbol, okay? Next, don't plagiarize, okay? Here is the Wisconsin W. And when the Badgers came up with this logo about 25 years ago, people loved it. It's on their helmets. It's on everything. And they've trademarked it, okay? Which means you can't use it. So what's funny is I looked this up because I know a friend of mine, she went to high school in Iowa, and her school was using this W, and the University of Wisconsin sued them and said, you can't use the W. It turns out, I looked up, there were 7 schools in the United States in all different states that were using this W and were sued by University of Wisconsin and said they couldn't use it. But somehow, Wisconsin Lutheran High School was able to keep it, probably because they included this L. But tell me, This is total plagiarism. They just stole the W, added an L to it, and called it their logo. So don't do that, okay? So what you're going to be doing is this. You're coming up with 50 logos, okay? And you're going to do the same way we did before. So take a picture of your scribbles, your sketches of all your 50 logos, and you can use your previous sheet to come up with your ideas, okay? So for example, if let's say, for example, I really like, here, this was the one I did. I really liked this before, and I'm thinking, hey, you know what? I'm going to turn that into a C and a G. So I could easily, you know, draw my pyramid probably. So I'll draw my pyramid, and then here, maybe on this side, I'll put my G in here. So it looks sort of like that. And on this side, I'll put my C in here. So I'll include a C and a G in there, okay? Or look at a lot of these other ones here. So for example, I could put a C here and a G over on this side of the building. Or in this one, maybe I have, in this one here, maybe I've got a grid that has a C and a G in it. Or maybe I could take any one of these. So for example, let's say this one right here. Look at this one. I'll just zoom in a little bit. Oop. So this particular one, very squared. So you could probably come up with another idea like this where you have a very squared letter and then inside it is another letter, okay? Or maybe I just take that same letter. Let's do this. Let's take that same letter and let's put it in a box, okay? And let's put here's the G again. Like that, okay? And then I just say this is my C right here. So I take this little box out of there, and maybe this G is one color. Maybe that G is one color, and then my C is a different color here. So it's very similar to Hartford Whalers in that the letter becomes a negative space within the other letter. So take your letters that you've already come up with and play around with them and come up with new ones, of course, okay? New ideas, different ways to incorporate your two letters. So once again, you've got 8 categories. Use those as prompts. So if you try something overlap, stacked, interlock, try 3D versions, anything you want to do. Like look at this one here. I'm going to take this and put a C inside here. Like that. And maybe I'll make this one my interlocked. So I'll do this. Like that. Bring that around. Okay. I'll erase this part right here. Let me zoom in a little bit. I'll erase that part right there. So already this looks like it's looping over the top. And then my C I'll put inside here. And that will go underneath this part. Got that? So I'm incorporating, I'm taking an existing idea, and in doing that, remember Albrecht Durr with the A inside the D? So maybe you've got a smaller letter inside of a bigger letter, okay? So maybe you've got, you know, whatever, take one of these here. Maybe this is your logo. I'm not sure I'm creative about this logo, but let's just say this was, and I've got my G here, and then down here I put my little C inside there, okay? So you're incorporating 2 letters this time. This is your assignment now. The assignment is I want 50 for an A, 50 sketches. That's if you want an A. You can do less, I don't care, but for an A it's 50, okay? Just like this, bunch of drawings, okay? Then, that's gonna be due Wednesday. Friday, okay, I want your 5 colored versions of your best ones. And your best ones, I don't care what categories they are in. It doesn't matter, okay? These categories, once again, are your prompts, okay? These are your, to come up, to jump back and forth. So when you get stuck, try another category, okay? Representational symbols, by the way, I don't care what symbol you incorporate with your name. That doesn't matter. So once again, okay, come up with a lot of ideas, visual brainstorm. Most ideas won't be that good. So what? Have fun. It's fun doing this. Use prompts when you get stuck. Everybody gets stuck. Don't give up. And somewhere in your search, there's going to be a gold nugget. There's going to be something that's really good. Okay? So got that? That's your assignment this week. Okay. Wednesday, I want you to have the 50 logos done. Friday, the 5 finished ones done. Obviously, this is something you could do in one day and get them all pumped out today if you wanted to. I would recommend doing it ahead of time. Okay, it's not that hard. Okay, have fun, become creative, because that's my whole goal here. Take care.